the MITM Business Consultants
comes Man in the Middle, your one-stop shop for financial tips and tricks that big banks and corporate America won't teach you
and don't want you to know.
Discussing the latest and greatest products, services, skills, and habits to grow and support the financial needs of your business and you. Giving you the knowledge to help make your own important choices for your business and you.
Disclaimer: Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
Now, here is your Man in the Middle with 10 years of experience in the financial and banking industry, Art Abrahamian.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Man in the Middle podcast. This is Art Abrahamian, owner of MITM Business Consultants. And I'm here with George, my marketing manager.
How's it going, everyone? My name is George.
And we're going to be covering our first podcast today, which this episode is based on marketing. So George and I are going to go ahead and get right into it. George, get us started.
So, Art, what got you into business consulting?
So...
How did you get your career started? Let's start off with that.
Okay, right out of high school, went straight to college. My degree was in IT, so I started doing a lot of networking and engineering and programming.
Yeah.
And as that went across, there wasn't really much in terms of job opportunities that I was actively pursuing that were local. And I had a buddy who was working at a bank. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, student debt's not fun.
Student debt's not fun.
It's not fun. And so what we did was essentially, he's like, all right, well, we're hiring.
Yeah.
And it's at that time, I think the starting pay was like $14 an hour, which was good. I think the average was like $10.
Yeah.
This is 2011. Mm-hmm. And all right, so I go to this interview. I absolutely demolished the interview. I mean, it was pretty bad. I feel bad for everybody there.
You hit a home run.
It was a home run right out of the gate. You know, I've always been good at talking to people, and I always had that business mindset, so it wasn't, anything crazy. So,
and you're personable, too, so.
Yeah, I've been told. Mm-hmm. So, as I was doing the interview, I get a call back, and they go, hey, we'd like to start you off. It's $13 an hour as a bank teller. I was still finishing up my degree too, so I was like, all right, that's great because I can't really do full time. Mm-hmm. I kid you not, it took maybe it took like 3 months to get hired on. It was probably one of the worst like onboarding experiences.
Oh, really?
That I've ever had.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna name the bank.
Don't name the bank.
I'm not even gonna name the bank.
Yeah.
But it was one of those like, okay, cool. So tomorrow, right, you're going to call me. And they're like, no, maybe. Yeah, somebody's going to call you tomorrow. This went on for months. It got to the point that I was like, I don't even want this job anymore.
You got tired of it.
I don't even want this job anymore, dude. Like, this is how they can't even get me to start my first day. Yeah. Like, my mom almost thought I was lying about getting a job.
Really?
She's like, did you, really get this job or no? Because it's been 3 months. So it's like 3 months. So I end up calling the recruiter, and I'm like, hey, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and rescind my job application because I already had other jobs lined up. I thought this was just like they forgot about me. Yeah. And she goes, what do you mean? Nobody's called you? And
so you started off as an intern, right?
No, I started off beginning level employee, as a teller, but I didn't even want the job anymore because they were taking months to hire me and, debt's piling up. I'm like, dude, I got to go do something.
Right.
So I eventually get hired, and that process was a mess too. Because the person that was supposed to hire me ended up having some sort of drug problem or something. So she ended up getting fired and it was a mess. So I worked my way up the ranks. I was a teller for 6 months. And then as I started, having more and more free time as I was wrapping up my degree, I ended up getting promoted. And from there I went from banker. Then I went to a senior, and then from senior I went to business, and business is where I kind of just flourished the rest of my career.
Branched off. And
I did that for about 7-8 years out of my 10.
Wow.
So then it was just like, all right, time to start.
Right on, man.
Time to start this. This business has always been like in the back of mind. It's like, all right, we got to get things going now. So yeah, started the office and it's been great ever since.
Yeah. So is it a passion of yours, you know?
Oh yeah.
From the get-go?
Yeah,
Was it a passion of yours?
I love helping people. I love being part of the community. And more than anything else, it's just nice to be able to give people solutions
To their problems.
Right.
Right.
And you know, it's easier to do it by when you own your own company than when you work for somebody else's company, because it's a very biased.
You know the ins and outs of what's going on.
It's not even just the ins and outs. It's the market base. It's like it's biased products. I can't offer you any product that's not bank related. I can't give you advice that's not bank approved. I can't do any of that. Whereas like here, when I went and got tax certified and did my investment advising license and all these other licenses that I accumulated over the course of my, departure from the financial institutions, it really elevated my presence and ability. So it's like now I can talk taxes and now I can do investments and now I can do all these other things. And then, it provides the best service for clients because they get the best service from us, meaning that we're not selling a bank.
Right.
We're selling solutions, right, in conversation. And then we go out and find the client the best deal possible. So it ends up working out. And, today's topic is going to be obviously about marketing and how it's important is actually chosen by one of our members. And again, if you'd like to choose the next topic that we talk about, check out our website, mitm.services. And once membership options are available, and you can click that link and read about what's there and what it does for everybody. But it allows our members to choose the topic. So we've had a member choose this topic. So let's get right into it.
Sweet. Let's do it.
So you should have some information in front of you over some of the things we're going to be talking about. And, George, you're a marketing manager here.
Yes, sir.
Why is marketing important?
I believe marketing is important because you can help others expand their portfolios or business ideas. And it also gives you the ability to see how someone can capitalize on what they specialize in, whether it's owning a painting company, a construction company, a body collision shop, e-commerce based website, whatever it may be. So I think that's an important thing to have and to know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I think marketing is one of those things that is a big oversight, and people don't understand how important it is for their businesses. I mean, we have 6 topics to cover here, and I'll let you take over the tablet here.
Sweet.
So that way you can have your little cheat sheet on what we're going to be going over.
Okay.
And, what's the first thing we're going to be covering there in regards to the marketing structure?
Let's see here. Your brand, the visibility among diverse audiences.
Okay. Is that what we're going to go into right now?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about that.
So branding is super important. I mean, brand recognition is everything. There's a story. Here's a perfect example. I'm sure everybody's familiar with Red Bull.
Yeah.
We've all had
definitely.
one or two, especially on the nights before going into work that morning after. You're like, I need something.
Yeah, after a long night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Funny thing about Red Bull is their marketing strategy was like the best. So they were saturated in a market full of
competitors.
Like everybody and their mother was making like an energy drink.
Right.
And what they did was they used to take empty cans and crush them and put them in trash cans everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere.
But why is that though?
I'm about to get into that. Okay. So they would take these crushed cans and they put them places so that every time you'd see full trash cans at the very top were these Red Bull cans. And it created the perception that people were drinking Red Bull.
That's weird.
Is that so?
But it's catchy though. It's catchy.
It's not that it's catchy. It's that it psychologically, people who were walking by those trash cans, seeing people pull cans out, or if they were laying on the top, were seeing that, hey, this has to be a popular drink because every trash can I go to, it's literally right there.
Yeah.
So it started to create a market share for Red Bull because they started
gaining momentum.
Yeah, they gained momentum, and people were like, "Well, I better go try it. It has to be good. Everywhere I go, it's being drunk."
Wow, so that's how they started off.
It's not necessarily how they start off, but that was one of their marketing strategies that they utilized, and it just blew up. So
That's amazing.
So it was one of those things where it's like, that's smart. And like brand recognition is super important. Like even with like our business here, it's like everything we do is branded. Everything.
Right.
We have pens, we have our logo on anything and everything we can, because the idea is becoming a household name. Like you look at Coca-Cola, you don't need to know it's Coke in a can. You know, just by seeing the red and the white and the black logo and everything. Even the polar bears. Like when I see a polar bear animated, I think it's a Coca-Cola commercial.
That's true. That's so true.
So it's like brand recognition is super important because it just automatically, it clicks. It's like, that's what it is. I know that brand. Whether you use them or not, it's not
that's what
important.
makes a company very successful.
It's not the only thing that makes them successful, but it's a huge factor in it, because people may not need the service today, right? Like that's just the thing. That's the thing with marketing.
Okay,
That's why marketing is important. You may not need the service today, but tomorrow, and we can use AC companies, for instance.
Yeah.
You see an AC company that's putting their banners everywhere, you're going to go, okay, well, it's an AC company I'm familiar with. It's on top of my mind. You don't need them today, but tomorrow your AC breaks. And you're like, first thing I'm thinking of, well, I see their stuff everywhere, so they have to be good. So I'm going to reach out and call. Your AC's broken. You don't have time to sit there and start calling 30 different companies.
Yeah.
It's 100 degrees, especially in the desert here. It's like 110 degrees in your house. If your AC is broken, it's like, good luck. You got kids, animals, whatever.
Especially out here in the desert.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's like, that's why brand recognition is so good. It's not just for the sale today. It's for the relationship tomorrow and everlasting from there. It's the idea is when somebody thinks about, now it's like Monster is the energy drink. Like most people will answer Monster.
Yeah.
That's it. Why? It's 3 lines. I mean, the Hebrew letters. It's 3 Hebrew letters for 666, and we're not even getting into.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
But the point is, it's like it's 3 Hebrew letters, right? It's supposed to be a monster scratching the can, and that's it's a simple logo.
It's a
super simple logo.
It's very simple.
But everybody knows it, likes it, drinks it, loves it.
It's worldwide.
That's it.
Yeah,
brand recognition.
That's crazy. Very crazy. Wow. So, before starting a company, do you think that that's like the most important thing, as far as like trying to get your brand out there? Is that something that everyone should focus on? Or
getting your brand out there is important. I think every business should focus on getting their brand out there, right? Because the only way you're going to get business is if people know you're in business.
Yeah.
You can't sell a service if people don't know the service exists.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's not the most important thing when you're structuring a company. There's a lot of things that need to go into it, because here's a perfect example. You could have great brand recognition and no product. And now you're at a problem. So what do you do now? You have plenty of customers, but you don't have the strategy in place. You don't have the people to facilitate it. You don't have anything. So there has to be a balance of like, you don't want to market too soon, but you don't want to market too late either. The idea is, as you build a team, as you structure a team, as you build your sales strategies, your platform, your marketing, all of that needs to be together. And you can't, and that's primarily why these services are so valuable that we offer here. Because if you're a construction guy, you're great at what you do, and that's okay. But when you're an owner, and we're talking about starting a company or your own business, it's more than just you being good as a contractor or a construction person.
Right, yeah.
Like you need to be a good business person.
Right.
And unfortunately, they don't teach it in schools.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't know.
No, they don't. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's the equivalent of like, I don't write prescriptions here. I'm not a doctor. Yeah. I consult clients' business and personal needs.
Right.
So I can do that. But when it comes to like, can you write me a prescription? No, you need to go to the guy that's been doing that. He went to school for that for 10 years, 8 years, and he can do that. It's the same thing with like our services. Like we help people who are good at what they do, and then we build a business around it. So that's why it's important. Or if the business is already built, we help make it better.
By finding their weak points and helping capitalize on them.
Exactly. And that marketing is usually a weak point, like in terms of people's lackluster sales, because either their sales strategies are wrong, their customer service is horrible, their marketing, and we'll get into customer service and sales at a later podcast. But the marketing strategy is huge. Like it's just a must, but it's not your only focus. It can't be your first and only focus, because if it is, then you're stuck without product and services.
And would you say that most e-commerce based companies, is that something they do have to focus on?
Yeah,
primarily?
their marketing is
That's a little
different though,
right?
because when you're doing e-commerce, like you're dealing in the digital markets, it's like a lot of
Right.
Facebook ads, Google ads. But like I can tell you from experience, anything in the business industry like this, it's like $25 per click. That's insane.
That's a lot.
It's insane.
That's a lot.
Like Yelp, you know what I mean? Like Yelp's over there charging $25 per ad click, and you're sitting there going, dude, that means if 10 people
insane.
were just a click,
Right.
not even purchase,
Yeah.
that's $250 out of your pocket. Is that worth it? You
I don't know.
have to
You got,
now figuring out like,
Yeah.
where does your saturated market lie? Like if you're doing Google ads and Yelp ads and you're spending money on Google ads and Yelp ads and Google's the only one actually getting you real leads, well then maybe it's time to start pulling away from Yelp and putting more money into
Right.
Google.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing Facebook marketing, then you need to start doing more. It depends.
sense.
You
Makes
have to
sense.
know your area. Like in e-commerce, your target market is anybody. Like drop shipping's huge right now, right? Like that's the thing. Everybody's selling stuff on Amazon or drop shipping. This stuff's been around
For a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
But I've met a handful of like really successful people, young guys too. I mean, I can remember back when I was at the financial institutions, I can remember being in an office. I had an 18-year-old kid from Australia, and he was here with his girlfriend, soon to be wife. They ended up getting married and whatnot, but I was like, what do you do? And he was like, oh, I do like e-commerce stuff. Like I drop ships like jewelry. Like they were selling jewelry that they never had their hands on.
So they were
Like it
As,
wasn't,
like-
they didn't have a store.
they were working as like middlemen for
Drop shipping works like this.
uh-huh.
I buy something on like Alibaba
And you mark up the price
and I
then you
mark
sell it
up
to
the
someone
price and I
else.
just ship it directly to your house.
got
So
it.
I don't have to deal with manufacturing. I don't have to deal with
Right.
shipping. All I have to do is really just tell them where to send it.
Right. So
And
you're
because I
working behind a
marked it up,
screen and
and because I marked it up so much, it doesn't matter where I ship it.
wow. That's
And
crazy.
and so this person that I'm talking about
yeah.
ends up doing it, right? Like just starting. He
So,
ended up
so he wasn't doing it when you met him, or he
no,
was?
I just started him.
Okay, you started him.
He came to me
okay.
and he's like, I need some advice around this. I want to do this.
Yeah.
So I helped him build around this company. We ended up opening his business account and kind of getting him set up. And,
Yeah.
you know, we gave him some credit options here and there to help him subsidize, you know, some cash flow. And did I see this guy like a year and a half later? I kid you not. A black bus, like a school bus.
Yeah.
He bought a school bus,
Yeah.
painted it black, hired a bunch of his friends to continue on.
Uh-huh.
And here they are. They just travel and go to the beach. They're always on their computer because they're doing it from
No
wherever they're
way.
at.
So they work from
Yeah,
wherever.
they do it from wherever.
They're just
as long as there's a
traveling
Wi-Fi.
on the
Yeah,
road,
because they don't
just-
need a storefront. They don't
Wow.
need anything. And,
Okay.
dude, I come back. I'm you know, I pull this guy's account up and there's hundreds and thousands of dollars in there. And I go,
What have you been up to?
I actually told him, I said, hey man, I'll quit my job right now. Like,
Oh man.
what does this take? And he
Yeah,
sent me
yeah.
all the information and the link and everything. And you know, I tried it for a little bit, but it just wasn't as successful.
Yeah.
And he picked a niche market, the type of jewelry he was selling, but he was spending a minimum of like $100,000 a month in marketing,
Wow.
in advertisement, in just marketing and advertisement on Facebook.
So he was probably bringing in a lot more money than
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to see. Like he was
Wow.
hitting, he started going from like small to big. Like he was
Wow.
hitting globally at that point.
Yeah.
He was saturating the market with his brand and it was just working. And I was like,
Insane.
man,
18
like,
years old.
19 at this point.
19.
19
One
at
year
this
later.
point. But you know, you could tell he was 19 making a lot of money because he bought a giant old bus. School bus.
awesome.
It's
That's
awesome,
awesome.
but it
That's
was like,
awesome.
I can tell you he was spending as hard as he was making.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he's been since. I never saw him again after that.
Yeah.
I hope they're doing well if they're,
I'm sure
if
he's
they're
doing
listening.
great.
But and I hope they've, you know, put some of that money into
Yeah.
as they got older more.
Yeah. Well, I think the pretext of the pandemic allowed him and a lot of other
Well,
people
this
to
is
make
like
more money
way
too.
pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
like 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's
Yeah.
probably like 26 now, 20.
I wonder what he's up to now.
I wish I could tell you.
Yeah. Who knows?
I wish I could tell you. I haven't
Yeah.
I haven't heard from him or seen him. He probably moved back. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I can tell you that it was just crazy. It was absolutely
Sounds like
crazy.
he was a sharp kid too.
No, he was. He understood what he was doing, and,
Yeah.
and he understood. You know, we sat down and talked marketing with him, and we explained kind of like what we're talking about today, like
Yeah.
how important it is, and he did that. He capitalized around his brand so that it became like a household name. And I'm sure people who use Facebook probably have come across his advertisements
Most likely,
when they're on there
yeah.
and it shows like women's jewelry. And it was primarily women that he focused. He only did women's jewelry.
I think that's where the money's at, though.
It's possible. I mean, that's the thing is he was doing, it was strictly women's jewelry and, you know, it didn't matter who bought it, but that's what he was selling is he
Right.
wasn't selling like gold chains for guys or
Just simple
necklaces.
jewelry.
Yeah, it was just like,
Yeah.
you know, stones. It was primarily like birthstone stuff too. And it just
Okay.
everywhere. I'm sure the people listening
Maybe
are like, I've probably
into, like,
seen that ad.
spirituality or something.
No, I don't think it was like crystal based stuff.
Okay.
But I'm sure he was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure the people listening right now are like, I've seen some of those ads. I don't know if it's that
Yeah.
company, but I've seen those ads where
You
it's like,
never know.
it's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a story to behold. That's for
That's
sure.
awesome, man. So you worked with him for a little bit. You got him
Yeah,
started.
I got him
put
started,
him on
and
the
the
right
dude
path,
just like
and he took off.
took off from there. And it
That's
was
awesome.
and the like I said, never saw him again after
was
like
it.
after he was like 20. So I
was
hope
it.
he's doing well.
Yeah, me too, man. So let's go to a different subject here. Swipe up. Oh, we got a passcode here.
Oh.
Alrighty, so let's talk about. Let's talk about reputation
Okay.
with companies. What's important about reputation?
Oh man, we are in the era of cancel culture.
The cancel culture, woke culture. if you will.
Reputation
Yep.
is everything.
Yeah.
Multiple reasons. Like
Yeah.
one, it's very important because being inclusive is very important, right?
Being
like I think
inclusive.
Inclusive,
Okay.
right? I think
Yeah.
it's very important. Like
Yeah.
if it doesn't matter how you feel politically, and this is
Uh-huh.
a huge thing, right? Like people like to let politics get in the way of everything.
Yeah.
you
gets dirty.
You have to compartmentalize that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I have plenty of clients who we may not agree politically or spiritually or morally.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we can't do business together, right?
Right,
But
right.
reputation wise, it works like this. If I'm hostile to a certain group, well, why would I do that? First of all, I've alienated myself from a market base, right? Mm-hmm. Like this company is completely LGBTQ friendly, especially in the area that we're in. We don't care. Whatever you like to do, you do. That doesn't make us judge you as a person. And we
Right.
love working with our clients in the community
Right,
as
right.
well. But let's say that for whatever reason, from a moral standpoint, you know, let's say I took a moral standpoint that I don't even have with it, but let's say we're just for the sake of conversation.
Right.
I'm like, oh, we're not doing that. What have I done? I've created a reputation, right? Reputation could be good, could be bad, could be neutral, could be horrible.
anything.
It could
Right.
be toxic even.
Yeah.
But the reputation I've created is now I only work with non-LGBTQ, you know, community members, and why? For what? Like, what have I done? I've harmed my reputation
Right.
as a
You're
company.
selling yourself short.
Right. Mm-hmm. For one, and the market, like I've missed a market base. There's plenty of people in that community, in the community that need help financially, and to alienate a certain group from being able to access these things that like, as a community we should have.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not only does it hurt my brand, it hurts my recognition, it hurts my marketing campaigns, because now when people see, I think like a great example is like Chick-fil-A.
That's a good example.
Chick-fil-A is like the perfect example of this.
Yeah.
Like, I love Chick-fil-A.
I do too.
I don't care about the politics behind Chick-fil-A. I just love their food. Like,
Yeah.
it's a really good chicken
Yeah.
sandwich.
Yeah.
And sometimes I really want Chick-fil-A, but then Sunday comes around. I'm like, damn, it's Sunday. I can't eat Chick-fil-A on
Closed.
Sunday.
Yep.
You know, that's a stand they've taken, and I respect their stand. That's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
they're, you know, they're very anti-LGBTQ
Oh, yeah.
community, right? Like, they're not interested in
No.
anything to do with it. And does that make Chick-fil-A any less successful? Not necessarily. I mean,
Not
still one of the
necessarily.
biggest franchises out
Right.
there. But from a company standpoint, does that really make sense to alienate a community
Yeah.
from your food just because you don't agree with something? Like, that's something that if you have that bias, it's keep it to yourself.
Right. I think the owners are Christian, right?
Right,
And
yeah,
so
they're
it was
super
founded by-
old school company, and I
Yeah.
get that, and
Yeah.
you know I respect them for their beliefs and their thoughts, and they're allowed to
as
have
we do
that.
with everything else.
Exactly, like
Yeah.
we respect everybody and their thoughts and beliefs. We don't think anybody's right or wrong.
Right.
Like you have a brain and a heart and a soul and all those things, and if you believe something, more power to you.
Yeah.
We're not here to tell you. We're not
Exactly.
We're not a social engineering company. We
No,
don't
we're
care.
not. We
It's
don't
like
care.
do whatever makes you happy. We're here to help everybody and anybody make money
Yeah.
and be happy in return. But you look at companies like that, and it's like, does that mean that the LGBTQ community doesn't eat there? I'm sure some of them do,
Yeah,
but
I'm
there's
sure
probably
they do.
plenty that are like, I will not eat, I will
Yeah.
not step foot there, I will
Yeah.
not eat there, I will not any of that.
Sure, there's a handful out there.
I'm sure there's more than a handful. And the point just being like, great. As a company, we do really well, but think about how much better they could do if they were more
If
inclusive.
they put the politics aside.
Yeah, it's like, look, if the owners are, I think they're an elderly couple that own the franchise, kind of
But
like
I
how
think now it's a
In-N-Out used to be.
franchise, though, right?
Yeah,
So-
it's a privately held. I know that we'll get into franchising another day. We're kind of
Yeah.
we'll jump into that a different topic, but like they could have kept it inside. They could have said, you know what, we may not agree with that, but the company doesn't have to be a reflection of your moral, political
I agree.
ideology. Like
Yeah.
your company, if it's meant to service the community, then service the community. You don't get to just choose alienate. I mean, you do. It's your company. Do whatever you want. But for the sake of this conversation about marketing and touching base with like reputation, it hurts you more than it does to help you.
Right.
Because, and this is an old homage I always like to say, you could do something for somebody a million times and do one thing wrong to them, and it will be the only thing that they ever remember.
Yep, that is very true. That's
Like-
something my dad always told me.
Like you could feed somebody, clothe somebody, let them stay in your home, and then they'll ask you for something. You'll be like, "No, I'm done," and they'll be like, "You're just the worst person on this planet."
Yep.
And it's like, but dude, think about all that good. No, I don't care about all that good you did.
I know, it's what sucks. doesn't
I
it?
only think about all that one thing bad you did.
Yeah.
So you have that's part of that reputation is like,
Right.
and sometimes that person just might not be a good person, right? You can't do everything in the world.
Yeah.
But the point being, like, reputation works very similar to that. Like, you could be really good in a million places, but if you don't put certain things aside and just focus on the professionalism, you could really hurt yourself.
I agree. So what can you tell your viewers when they start off a company? Is that something they should stay away from as far as, their political beliefs?
Yeah, I mean, this
This is obviously going to help them grow.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. There's a lot of things you may agree or not agree with, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to believe, what not to believe. You're allowed to make your own choices. You can do your own research. You can side where you side, but don't make your business a war zone. It's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
Be inclusive. Let everybody who needs help come in. Some people like you, some people won't. You can't make the whole world happy, but don't alienate yourself from a market.
That's a good point.
Because one person will tell 10 people, 10 people will tell 100 people, and 100 people will tell the world.
Spreads like fire.
And that's it. And why, if you're going to spread a fire, don't spread a happy one, not a negative
Spread
one.
a happy one.
Yeah. Warm people up, not burn their homes to the ground. That's the type of fire. You want to be a bonfire, not a
You
not
wanna
a
keep it
forest
small.
fire.
Let's
Yeah.
keep it small. Let's keep it small. Alrighty, so earning trust. Great marketing strategies to help build trust.
So that
Let's
goes
start off with
that kind of goes hand in hand.
Uh-huh.
Like your reputation builds trust, right? Like if you can't do, and this is huge in terms of marketing, people like to always market locally owned, right? Like I tell people too, we're not a franchise. A lot of people think we're a franchise. It's always something that gets up. So when did you buy this franchise? I don't know, it's not a franchise. It's locally owned. It's owned by myself.
Yeah.
And we have a great team here, and we have a lot of guys who love what they do, and all of those people are former investment advisors, investment bankers.
Working in different departments.
They were just in
right?
different departments at different banks, or even the same banks, and it just got to a point where we said enough is enough. Let's do our own thing.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's like the profitability, right? That's what you can become more profitable with the more people you reach out to, but it has to be in a positive light. And brand recognition and trust especially is very important. If a client can trust you, they will do business with you. And even when we were working at the banks, it was expected of us to get lending. Whether it was a certain amount of lending or commercial lending, like that's where we made our money. But I was always upfront with clients on it. And, when it came to their needs, I'd be like, hey, you could probably benefit from like this credit card or this line of credit or whatever. It was something small. And they'd be like, oh, well, you're just doing that to... I'm like, listen, the cup of coffee that you're going to buy me when you take this product isn't worth me screwing you.
Oh, you tell them straight up.
Yeah, I was like...
Straightforward.
I'm telling you this because it helps you. And I would tell them, like, you want to see what my compensation is going to be if you accept that product? It was like $10, $20.
And I bet they appreciated
Yeah,
that.
because it was more upfront of like, dude, I'm I'm not doing this to screw you. I'm doing this to help you.
Right.
And if you think that everybody around you tries to help you is trying to screw you, that's a thing you need to work on. That's not a my problem. That's a you problem.
Right.
Where everywhere you go, you just think somebody's after you. Like, that's something you need to work on, right? That's how you have to see it. But it's like, I would be upfront right away. Yes, I will get a commission from this, and this is what it is going to be. So I want you to understand that I'm not telling you to do this so I can buy a cup of coffee and then you talk bad about me for the rest of your life.
Wow.
And it made a difference.
Yeah. So you sold yourself, you sold your service, you gave them this trust between
it's like what I'm offering you is genuinely within your best interest.
Yeah.
And that was because there were biases there, right? Like, we couldn't sell non-bank products. Like, no matter what we did, it had to be that bank's product. So I understood where customers were coming from, where they were like, well, everywhere we go, they're offering us this stupid credit card and this, that. But I would turn that into there's a reason you're being offered it. Yeah, we're supposed to sell it. Fine. But I'm telling you, without a reasonable doubt, that it's going to help you, and here's how it's going to help you. And if you can just do that, that's part of sales strategies too. I think the problem is the expectation of selling when you don't even know your product. That's what set me apart.
That gets kind of difficult, doesn't it?
Like, if I refused, and I would get in, I can't tell you how many times I got in trouble for this. I would refuse to sell a product if I didn't know it.
Wow.
Would refuse to do it. I just couldn't do it.
I think I would have done the same too.
I was like, how can I sell this? I don't even know what it is.
Right.
Well, just tell him it's this. I'm like, I'm not going to just tell him it's that, because then they ask me another question. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you can't follow up with it. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
So there, in the beginning of my career, we had loan volume.
What does that mean?
Like, how many loans you would sell.
Tell the viewers.
So, like, at a bank,
okay,
there were buckets. New accounts.
Okay.
New credit options open. Then you had, like, your percentage of loan volume.
Okay.
And that was like, the bank would give you X amount of percentage for all the money you would lend out.
Yeah.
I would get like zero loan volume.
And you stayed away from that.
Because I didn't know the product. Like, when I first started, I just didn't know the product.
Okay.
And I get in trouble all the time. I'd be pulled into an office and there's my boss going, a lot of money you left on the table, huh? A lot of money. And I go, you're right. I probably did leave money on the table, but you know what? I don't know it, and I'm not going to screw somebody just to put money on the table. Mm-hmm. So I started educating myself, because they wouldn't do it for me. They would just give me their own PDF samples of like why we should sell it. And I'm like, but it doesn't help me, because nothing here teaches me.
And you didn't feel comfortable even going about doing something like that. I mean, who would really? And, there's sleazy salesmen out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you had your sleazy salesman, and you had your I was good as a salesman for the institutions. That's not it. But I was more honest. Like, I matched people to the right product, whereas there were just people who shotgunned, which was like, you need it, you need it, you need it, you need it, you need it. And it's like, that's why a lot of them are in the trouble that they're in now.
Makes a lot of sense. Because
they were just shotgunning, right? Like, we gotta show the investors that we're doing really well. We got to show the investors that we're doing really well. And it just got to a point where it was like, screw the investors.
Yeah.
We're hurting real people.
Right.
We're not helping the community anymore. So I would refuse to sell products. I would get in trouble. I've been threatened my job multiple times.
I feel like most financial institutions are like that, though.
That's unfortunate. It used to be relationship based, right? It was like, know your customer, love your customer, build a bond with your customer.
Right.
And then as my career started progressing, I started realizing that any moment that I spent with a customer that had nothing left for me to sell them was a wasted moment. That's how they made it feel. I'd have people walking by my office, checking the time, doing this right behind the glass.
Wow.
Like, we're wasting time here. Is that going to get you? Is that going to get you another sale? And I'm like, no, it won't. But you know what? In a year from now, because I have faith in him and his business, and I've helped him establish everything and guided him along the way, that he's going to own half this city.
And this is something that they don't teach you.
No,
right?
They don't teach you. They want you to do it for the today. They want it to today. They don't care about tomorrow or next week. It's today. What do you have today? Do you have your 2 appointments tomorrow? Do you have this tomorrow? How many did you sell? I can't tell you. That was literally, I used to go to work stressed out of my mind. I used to leave work stressed out of my mind.
Yeah.
I remember starting as a teller. This is ridiculous. I remember starting as a teller, and we used to have to sit a certain amount of people down with a banker.
Right.
And they would be like, how many hours you're working today? So 4 hours, you should sit 4 people down, right? Mm-hmm. If we didn't get 4, and they would put Post-its on our computer. They would put Post-its on the screen.
To keep you reminded,
Right.
huh?
And then when we got one, we would take a Post-it off. There were days where it's like, if you didn't hit your 4, now you have 8. If you didn't hit your 8, now you have 12.
It would stack
It was
up
like
on
that
you.
kind of
Okay.
toxic
Yeah.
environment. It's
Yeah,
like, I'm 18 years old kid, and you're like manipulating and punishing me for something that you haven't even taught me.
And you felt like you had all this weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, and you're like,
every
what
time
is-
you're going to work.
What is going on?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I knew going into work, now I have 12. And now I have 16. And then you were being told you're not meeting expectations and you're not doing all of this.
Wow.
So it was like, it's reputation.
It's a cluster. Beep.
Yeah, it's a cluster beep.
Yeah.
Like, reputation is everything. And I think keeping that in mind, building trust with your customers is the number one thing.
Yeah.
I had deals that I didn't finish for at least a year. It took me years to close big deals with clients because they trusted me. Because when the time came, and I knew that the time would come eventually,
Yeah.
it was already established. I am going to make money from this, but we've been doing this for over a year that you don't even care because you trust me to get it done right.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Wow.
It's that simple.
So you got personable with your clients,
Right.
and you made them trust you,
Right.
and that helped you close
That's
out
how we
deals.
are with all our clients here. I mean, we have yet to have a story of any of our clients
Yeah.
at Man in the Middle feel like we don't have their best interest at heart. They call us whenever they need us. They ask us questions. We get them the answers. And we're not afraid to say, we don't have that answer. Give us a little bit to find it.
That's amazing.
We don't have a crystal ball. We don't
keep
know
it- you
everything.
keep it authentic,
Things
you
change.
keep it raw.
Right. Things change. Especially like during this pandemic, all the government funding that was being given out,
Yeah.
like PPP and everything, every day something was changing.
Wow.
So it's like what I knew yesterday may not help you today. But it wasn't just this like, oh, well, I'm not going to call them. I'm not going to talk to them. It's like, hey, man, I don't know. Give me like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Let me look into it. Let me call around and see. Because every day it was changing. And that's just how it goes. But the expectation that we provide to clients is that you can trust us. We're a brand you can trust, and we're not a biased. Because we don't sell product here.
Right.
You
You
know,
just provide a service.
We provide a service, and we do have some products we sell, right? Like the niche market stuff where it's like we do private lending and real estate investment. And we even help people buy and sell businesses with some of our partners. But we pick them for a reason. We vetted them. We didn't just pick any average Joe off the street. We picked them because we knew it was a product that we couldn't easily find. Or we picked them because the company was really great. Like, I don't know too many consulting agencies that offer marijuana-based lending, and we do.
Not that I know of.
And we do that
I
through our
think this is the
partner.
first
Yeah,
one.
and that's our partner NBC that,
Wow.
that we go through for
Yeah.
that. But I don't know any other industries with the marijuana industry you can get private lending. Go to a bank, they'll tell you to walk out the door.
Yeah.
And that's why we partnered with companies like that, because those people have needs too. We're in California. I don't even smoke weed. That's not even a thing that I do. But that doesn't
Yeah.
mean, going back to, why would I alienate the market? Because I don't like it means that I shouldn't help people grow with it? Grow.
Yeah. You got to keep the table open for
Exactly.
everyone.
You got to keep the table. You
Yeah.
notice my pun there? I said grow with it.
I love it. That's a good
So
one.
what else we got?
So let's see. You know what? You might have to open this up again.
1994.
One.
You should know this, man. It's a company. It's a company tablet.
Well, you changed it on me yesterday. Wink, wink. All right, so let's talk about learning your marketplace, a core outcome of, learning about the marketplace. Like, can you give us any examples?
Yeah,
of,
so learning about your marketplace just means make sure what you're doing matches that location, right?
Okay.
So, like, we have Spanish reps, right? Like, we have consultants who speak Spanish. I speak Armenian. I don't speak Spanish. So it would make more sense for me to reach out to Armenian communities that there's a representative here that speaks Armenian and reach out to that community, right? Whereas telling a bunch of Armenians that we have Spanish speakers, it's good information, but it may not be
Sufficient.
targeted to the right community, right?
Okay.
Just like I don't facilitate our clients in the Indio and Coachella area. We have Enrique who does that.
So you have an employee for every single
Like
region.
that not necessarily region, but we have the
division.
right employee for the right area. Like knowing
Okay.
your marketplace is important too. And as a business owner, not only do you have to understand marketing like material, but you have to understand strategic placement of your employees.
Okay.
So like if you have an employee who speaks really well to an older crowd and a wealthier crowd, Like that was where they would always put me, is with the rich old people, because I spoke well with them and I wasn't intimidated by them. Whereas like a lot of the guys that I worked with were like, I can't do that. Well, like one, I don't know how to talk to them, or two, they intimidate me. It's like I see people with $10 million and here I am struggling to make, at the time I was making like $400 every 2 weeks. But wow. I brought them down to like, we're the same level as people. You're a lot more knowledgeable. You have a vast wealth of knowledge that you could teach me, and you're worth 1,000,000 times my net worth at that time. But I can still talk to you. I can still run with the bulls, essentially. That's what it awesome. Was. But I learned more doing that than I did being afraid of that element. Like, you have to get out of your comfort zone too, but that's part of that strategic placement, is like, you have to know where your strengths are and where they belong.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so I think that, most of your experience came from, dealing with most of your clients when it came to, being a bank teller when you first started off. I think that you got most of your experience with one-on-one interactions, and eventually you went into doing business loans and all this other
like
stuff. And so
you
got
to wash the dishes before you can start cooking the food. Like, that's just how it goes. Yeah. And I think that's important.
And is that something you already had in you? Did you feel when you started that you had this potential of becoming one of the best out there? Or
well, I always was a people person. I knew that. Yeah. And growing up, I always knew that whatever I did, I had to do it.
And it's a good quality to have. A lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to even acknowledge that to this point, that a lot of people don't have that, because I don't even notice that it's a trait.
It comes naturally.
It just comes naturally. Mm-hmm. Like I am the I love to be in, I don't want the center of attention, but I don't mind being thrown in the middle of a room. I will make friends.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter, because there are people who like the attention. I don't really care for the attention, but I'm very personable. I have no problem speaking in front of crowds. I have no problem being dropped in the middle of 100 people, because I'll make my way around and be like, this is my friend, that's my friend, that's my friend, that's my friend.
That's awesome.
And I don't even see it, but I know, like, my wife is not like that at all. Mm-hmm. She's
the opposite.
She's the exact opposite. Yeah, she's not much of a people person. And she's great. I mean, she's really a great person, and she's very loving and caring. But when it comes to, like, going out there and being vulnerable is the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's
not many
a hard
people
one.
feel comfortable. Exactly. Yeah. Not many people feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
It just came naturally, man. It was God's given gift to me, and I utilize it in an appropriate way. Meaning, I didn't know everything about finances, and to this day, I still don't. Nobody does. Right. You'd be a fool.
You're learning
to think,
every day.
Exactly. You'd be a fool to think you're the best at what you do, with no matter, and you never have to try.
Yeah.
I learn new stuff every day, and I research stuff every day, because it's like, I may know it, but I can know it better.
Right.
And I can know it more in depth. But I think it goes down to, I was good with people, but then I had to find an avenue to not only be good with people, but help people too. And that's where I was like, it was time to start Man in the Middle.
That's awesome, man. I love that. So let's finish off with, what are your goals moving forward with your company? What do you want to focus on primarily right now? What do you want to capitalize on?
For me, or for our listeners? Like, what marketing would do for their goals?
Yeah, for them.
So, okay, ask the question one more time, but not directed to me, like directed to them, because I was wondering if that was for me. So
basically, moving forward, what would you like to do with this company as far as, going worldwide? We're posting all this stuff on the internet. You want to grow your audience base. Where do you want to take this company, and what's your vision behind it?
So, if we're talking about Man in the Middle, my vision with it is, like, I would love for this to be a franchise. Mm-hmm. I want this business to be a franchise, because I think this business has a value that everybody can obtain.
Yeah.
You don't have to just be a business owner. Mm-hmm. You don't have to just be somebody with a lot of money. You could be the average Joe Schmo who wants to just know more about credit and have support in how they can get, their life together with their significant other, and they want to buy a house and have a family, and, help them talk those things through and give them avenues to go down, so that they're like, hey, I want to, and it's funny. There's somebody in this building who I had a conversation with yesterday, and she had shared with me, hey, my significant other and I, we're starting to get more serious. We're talking about having a family and this and that.
Yeah.
Because, I just don't feel like I'm a kid anymore. Like, it's time to grow up.
Yeah.
And I was like, we can help you with that. And we scheduled something for a couple weeks from now where we're going to sit down with boyfriend and girlfriend, and we're going to say, hey, what's the plan? Now, are they a business? No. One of them is a business owner, but that's something she's doing on the side, and we'll help her with that. But this conversation we're going to have is about them.
About them.
We're going to find out what they need. We're going to find out how soon they need it, what their plan is, and that's the thing, is like, you're helping people with their present, their future, and you don't really help them with their past per se because it's all said and done, but we want to know about their past so that we can keep that from happening.
Put them on the
again.
right path.
Right. It's essentially like, we used to see that all the time. You'd see young guys coming in, 19, 20 years old, who were getting credit cards, never taught how to use them.
Maxing them out. Yeah.
Maxing them out, not paying them.
Yeah.
Here's a 19-year-old coming to get a bank account and couldn't even get a bank account because they were placed on like a do not bank list because they refused to pay their debts.
Wow.
And it was like, it's so bad. You just started life. Like, life is just starting for you, and you've already set yourself
That's
back.
so tough.
So bad. And
tough.
it like, I've even seen minuscule amounts. Minuscule. I've literally, I can't, I'll never forget this. Dude has $10 or $20,000 left on his mortgage. Okay? He goes to Best Buy, and something goes wrong, and he can't return this item. I'll never forget this. And I look at him, and I go, so what are you going to do? He's like, I'm not going to pay it because I'm not in the wrong. It doesn't matter if you're in the wrong. Is that worth it to you? Is $200 worth screwing everything up? All this hard work that you did to get great credit, your house is almost paid off, this and that. He goes, oh, no, well, I'll think about it. So something came around where his payment was like $1,200 a month. And I'll post something with more of like in depth. I'd have to remember the exact scenario. This is like 6 years ago. He had like 15 grand left, 12 grand left, and he had like 2 years left on his loan.
Yeah.
And its rate was like 6%, 7%. Okay. And I told him, you have like 2 years left with 15,000, and your payment's like $1,100. Because the way that they were left, it was like the amortization scheduling that was left. It was like primarily interest and a little bit of principal. So I told him, I said, let's just get a loan, a regular loan, and it was like a 15% interest rate. But it was cheaper a month because we weren't amortizing it over 30 years. We were just amortizing it over 2 years. Mm-hmm. So it was like half his mortgage cost, and he would have paid off his mortgage with that loan, and he would have just paid off the loan. And if he would have made the same payments, he'd have paid off that loan even quicker.
So he didn't do that, though.
No, he did do that, and we couldn't give him the loan because that Best Buy charge tanked his credit and sent him to collections. And I looked at him, and I got so upset, and I said, you know what? You deserve that.
Yeah.
I would talk to people like that because it was like, you deserve it. I warned you that that's not worth it. Your pride isn't worth this $200. Like, I get it. He's like, well, I want to get back at this company. I said, you want to know how you get back at a company? It's not by not paying them. You think companies like Best Buy or Walmart,
they're not hurting
you think
over
they
that.
care
Yeah,
because
no.
you don't pay a $600 credit card? They're just going to write that off as bad debt anyways. Oh, well, we lent out and he didn't pay, so we're going to mark that. We're going to write that as a tax write-off. You think they really care? No. But the damage they can do to you for that $200 is ruin your credit for the next 10 years, 7 years. It depends whatever the statute of limitations at right now.
Yeah.
Between 7 and 10 years. It's like, is it worth it?
Wow.
And I told him, I said, you want to know how you can get back at this company? Pay them, never shop there again, tell everybody you know about your experience.
And this is a decision he could have made.
He could
saved
have.
it
I
himself.
gave him the avenue. You can be an idiot
Yeah.
and you fall in your ways about this. You not paying $200 really going to stick it to their bottom line.
Yeah.
Like the CEO is going to be up at night going, man, I wish you would have paid that $200. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're nothing to them.
Yeah.
Especially when you deal with corporations. Like, you're nobody to them.
And this is something, you relayed this information over to him. He didn't listen to you. You went down the wrong path, and it ruined his
And it ruined
ability
him long term.
to,
Ruined him long. He wanted to feel like he got the last word in, and I hope he did. Because now for the next 7 to 10 years, he's definitely got the last word in, right?
Yeah.
Now he couldn't even get a simple loan. Couldn't get a credit card. I remember he tried like 6 months later. He's like, well, maybe I can get a credit card, and he couldn't. Nobody wanted to touch him.
Yeah.
because the way that company went after his credit and his derogatory records and his, not paying, it just ruined his profile for nothing.
Yeah.
He dropped like 100+ points in credit just because he wanted to save $200 and be right. So
Wow.
don't do that, guys.
Yeah. So these are, advices that are,
These are real
tips.
stories.
Yeah,
these are real stories from real people.
Exactly, and this is something that we could all eventually learn from. And moving forward with his story, I think that Art is basically trying to tell us that all the information, all the advice he has to give us, and moving forward, I think that. Help me out here. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's like there's avenues. If you have questions, ask. We have a membership program, guys, that check out our website. It explains everything.
Perfect.
The idea behind it is we're not just here when you need something big. We're here whenever you need anything. And that's why our members trust us. Even if you think the question is stupid, ask us the question. We'll be happy to get you the answer.
Yeah.
We'd rather you walk away with more information than no information and then make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
We can't make the decision for you. We don't make people do anything, right? We just don't. You're an adult. The people in front of us are business owners or young adults looking to start their life, and we will give you advice and recommendations. We don't expect you to do anything that we tell you to do. We can only tell you why we think you should do this,
suggestions,
and give you the benefits as to why we think using our accumulated expertise, our years in the industry, and again, we know a lot of the ins and outs of how banks and financial companies work. We were there for a long time, each and every one of us.
Yeah.
So if you have resources, which you do, utilize them, because walking around thinking you know everything, it just hurts you.
Right.
But
the bigger vision here, future, where do you see this company and your audience space from around the world?
Yeah, around the world. Ideally, I'd love for this to be in every city because I feel like it provides a lot of value to every person. And, again, going back to it, you may not need it today, but you'll probably need it tomorrow.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Right on, man. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, well, that's going to be it for this podcast. And today we'll get into it with our next topic. I think the next thing I'm going to cover is this really interesting one where somebody asked, when's it okay to drink with clients?
Oh, I'd love that.
And I'm working on it. That'll be our next podcast.
Okay.
So the next podcast will probably be the do's and don'ts of drinking with clients or other professionals. So
right on.
That's what I'm working on right now. That'll probably be the next one. But we appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And on the outro, you'll get all the information on our Instagram and our website. But leave us a comment, tell us what you think, and if you want to pick the next topic,
drop a comment in there, and
join our membership.
Members
get to pick the topics. And if there's something in there that you really want to know about, we'd love to talk about it.
Yes.
So with that being said, we're going to sign off, and we appreciate everybody's time, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Man in the Middle. If you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing to the show. If you can't wait till next episode, follow us on Instagram at MITM Business Consulting and online at mitm.services. There, you can learn more about what we do, how we can help, and the custom services we offer around your personal needs. Until next time, if you'd like to choose the topic we discuss and receive additional services, consider joining our membership program at mitm.services.
Disclaimer. Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
We look forward to you tuning in next time.